10 most dominant NFL seasons ever. What does total domination look like? We're talking undefeated streaks, record-shattering stats, and teams so unstoppable they made the NFL look like high school football. We're looking at point differentials, playoff performances, and teams that absolutely terrorize the competition. Let's get into it. First off, some honorable mentions. Before we can start this countdown, we have to give respect to some legendary teams that just missed the cut. The 1998 Minnesota Vikings went 15-1 and scored an NFL record 556 points. Randy Moss and Randall Cunningham were unstoppable, but Gary Anderson's missed field goal in the NFC Championship ended their dream in overtime. The 1989 San Francisco 49ers destroyed the Broncos 55-10 in Super Bowl 24. That 45-point margin remains the largest in Super Bowl history. Joe Montana threw 5 touchdowns and made it look easy. The 1999 St. Louis Rams gave us the greatest show on turf. Kurt Warner came out of nowhere to win MVP with 41 touchdowns, and they beat the Titans on the final play of Super Bowl 34. The 2015 Carolina Panthers went 15-1 behind Cam Newton's MVP season. He threw 35 touchdowns and rushed for 10 more, but Von Miller and Denver's defense dominated them in Super Bowl 50. Now, let's get to the main list. Number 10, the 2000 Baltimore Ravens. Starting us off, we have the 2000 Baltimore Ravens with a defense that rewrote the record books. They went 12-4 in the regular season, but that record doesn't tell you how dominant this unit truly was. The Ravens allowed just 165 points all season, the fewest in a 16-game season at that time. They recorded 4 consecutive shutouts during one stretch. Ray Lewis was an unstoppable monster, winning Defensive Player of the Year and Super Bowl MVP. Their offense struggled with Trent Dilfer at quarterback, but it didn't matter. The defense carried this team every week. In Super Bowl 35, they demolished the Giants 34-7. The Giants' only touchdown came on a kickoff return. The Ravens' defense didn't allow a single offensive touchdown in the entire postseason. Number 9, the 1962 Green Bay Packers. Vince Lombardi's Packers were the gold standard of professional football, and 1962 might have been their most dominant season. They went 13-1 in a 14-game season, outscoring opponents 415-148. That's a point differential of plus 267. Jim Taylor won the NFL MVP award after rushing for 1,474 yards and 19 touchdowns. The offensive line was a collection of Hall of Famers who mauled defenders every Sunday. Defensively, they allowed barely 10 points per game. They beat the New York Giants 16-7 in the NFL Championship for their second consecutive title. The Packers outgained New York 244-92 total yards in a defensive masterpiece. Number 8, the 1998 Denver Broncos. The 1998 Broncos sent John Elway into retirement the right way with one of the most complete seasons in NFL history. They went 14-2 and won their second consecutive Super Bowl. Terrell Davis was unstoppable, rushing for 2,008 yards and winning MVP. He became just the 4th player ever to break the 2,000-yard barrier. Davis added 21 rushing touchdowns and was the engine that made everything work. In Super Bowl 33, they handled the Atlanta Falcons 34-19. Elway won MVP in his final game, throwing for 336 yards. He rode off into the sunset as a champion, proving this dynasty was no fluke. Number 7, the 1978 Pittsburgh Steelers. The 1978 Steelers might have been the best team in their legendary dynasty. They went 14-2 with the Steel Curtain defense at its peak and an offense that had finally become explosive. Terry Bradshaw threw for over 2,900 yards and 28 touchdowns, winning MVP. Franco Harris rushed for over 1,000 yards. Lynn Swann and John Stallworth formed the most dangerous receiving duo in football. The defense allowed just 195 points all season, with Joe Green, Jack Lambert, and Mel Blount making life miserable for opponents. Super Bowl 13 against the Cowboys was an instant classic. The Steelers won 34-31, and Bradshaw threw for 318 yards and 4 touchdowns to win MVP. Number 6, the 2013 Seattle Seahawks. The Legion of Boom arrived in 2013, and they were absolutely terrifying. The Seahawks went 13-3 with the most dominant defense the league had seen in decades. Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, and Cam Chancellor formed a secondary that made quarterbacks afraid to throw. they led the league in scoring defense, allowing just 231 points. Russell Wilson was an emerging star, throwing 26 touchdowns against 9 interceptions. Marshawn Lynch was in full beast mode with over 1,200 yards and 12 touchdowns. Super Bowl 48 against the Broncos was complete annihilation. Denver had the greatest offense in NFL history, with Peyton Manning throwing for 55 touchdowns. Seattle destroyed them 43-8. The first snap went over Manning's head for a safety, and it only got worse. That was the most dominant Super Bowl performance ever. Number 5, the 1984 San Francisco 49ers. Bill Walsh's 49ers were surgical in 1984. They went 15-1 with Joe Montana throwing for over 3,600 yards and 28 touchdowns while completing nearly 65% of his passes. Montana was in complete control of the West Coast offense. Their point differential was plus 215, meaning they outscored opponents by nearly 14 points per game. Roger Craig became the first player in NFL history to gain 1,000 yards both rushing and receiving in the same season. They cruised through the playoffs before dismantling Dan Marino's Dolphins 38-16 in Super Bowl 19. Marino had just thrown 48 touchdowns, but the 49ers defense made him look ordinary. Montana won MVP, and San Francisco cemented themselves as the team of the decade. Number 4, the 1991 Washington Redskins. The 1991 Washington Redskins put together one of the most complete seasons in NFL history. They went 14-2 with a point differential of plus 248. Mark Rippon threw for nearly 3,600 yards and 28 touchdowns. The Hogs' offensive line was the best in football. Art Monk, Gary Clark, and Ricky Sanders formed the posse receiving corps that terrorized secondaries weekly. The defense finished second in points allowed and created turnovers constantly. In the playoffs, they beat Atlanta 24-7, then destroyed Detroit 41-10. Super Bowl 26 was complete annihilation as they crushed the Buffalo Bills 37-24. Rippon won Super Bowl MVP, and Washington proved they were the most complete team in football. Number 3, the 2007 New England Patriots. 16-0. The Patriots became the first team to go undefeated in a 16-game regular season. Tom Brady threw 50 touchdowns, shattering the previous record. Randy Moss caught 23 of them, also a new record. The connection between those two was unstoppable. They scored 589 points, the most in NFL history at that point. Wes Welker added 112 receptions from the slot. This team had no weaknesses on paper. They were supposed to cap off the perfect season in Super Bowl 42. Then, Eli Manning escaped a certain sack, David Tyree made the helmet catch, and New England lost 17-14 in the biggest upset in Super Bowl history. 18-1 will haunt Patriots fans forever. Number 2, the 1972 Miami Dolphins. The 72 Dolphins actually finished the job. They went 17-0 including the playoffs and remained the only team in NFL history to complete a perfect season. This accomplishment has stood for over 50 years. Don Shula's squad wasn't flashy, but they were relentless. Larry Zonka and Mercury Morris both rushed for over 1,000 yards. The no-name defense suffocated opponents week after week despite lacking individual star power. They beat Washington 14-7 in Super Bowl 7 to complete the undefeated run. Every year when the last unbeaten team loses, those 72 Dolphins pop champagne. Perfection is permanent. Now, at number 1, the 1985 Chicago Bears. At number 1, we have a team that transcended football. The 85 Bears went 15-1 with the most terrifying defense in NFL history. Mike Singletary was roaming the middle with those intense eyes. Richard Dent was destroying quarterbacks. William the Refrigerator Perry was scoring touchdowns on offense. They allowed only 198 points all season and recorded 2 shutouts in the playoffs. Their 46-10 annihilation of the Patriots in Super Bowl 20 remains one of the most lopsided championship games ever. Walter Payton ran with determination. Jim McMahon talked trash and backed it up. Buddy Ryan's 4-6 defense changed football forever. They even recorded the Super Bowl shuffle before winning the championship. This wasn't just dominance, this was intimidation. The 1985 Chicago Bears are the most dominant team in NFL history. From heartbreaking near misses to legendary championship runs, these 10 teams showed us what elite NFL football truly looks like. Each one left an unforgettable mark on league history. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another video. We'll see you next time.